All right. Hi, and welcome to the Believing Better series. My first guest today is Lynda Richard. I'm going to be bringing her over right now. Lynda, raise your hand so I can find you. Oh, there you are. Hold on. It's bouncing around. Promote. All right. Guys, a little bit of housekeeping duty. We're going to have the chat, just between she and I. But as we talk, if something comes up for you or if you have questions, put them in the Q&A box. And when we cut this off of the replay, we will give you opportunity to come in and answer questions and anything that you may have. But we want to do the actual series straight through. And you're welcome to meet other people in the chat box or whatever is going on down there. Welcome to the community and to day one of Believing Better. So Lynda is a integrative life coach who specializes in relationships and intimacy. And that's really what we're going to talk about today, is how her belief changed. We're going to talk about what the old belief was, because guys, that's the hidden problem. We don't know it's a belief. We think it's true. We think that what we think is fact. So we're going to just tell a little story. We're going to talk about Lynda's journey and hope to inspire other people who are thinking about change, who have tried to change. And we're even going to talk about why it's so hard to change. All right. Welcome, Lynda. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm so excited to be here. This is definitely something that is beneficial for everyone to hear. I am an integrative life coach. I have lived and experienced a lot of ups and downs and failures in relationships, and the emotional aspect and baggage that comes along with that. So I'm excited to share my story and the amazing transformation that the coaching and the punchline process has brought to me in my relationships.
Right. So first, let's talk about what was your life like? What did you believe was possible 2 years ago, a year ago, right? Before this all started? Because the journey, I do want to say that too, guys, it's not like, oh, I'm going to just change my thought and everything's going to be magical. There's a lot of shifting that has to happen in between. And we're going to talk about the reality of that. So what did your life look like? Let's say when you first came here, whenever we first met.
Well, I hadn't been exposed to any type of coaching or anything like that. And I was in a new relationship, and it was a struggle managing my emotions. I was in a new place. I'm not originally from the Louisiana area. So moving and not having a support system and being in a new relationship was definitely challenging. Especially the fact that we both had children. I'm divorced before. And so bringing two sets of kids together into a household is really hard, can be really hard when you're raised different, you think different, and you parent differently. So it can be interesting managing a relationship with those factors there. And then the fact that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And just the fact that I had been married before, I brought in all these expectations and thoughts about men and relationships and parenting, and from what I've experienced prior to my current relationship. So he was walking into a minefield when it came to that, because he didn't know what to expect from me, as far as, somebody who'd been married before, and he had never been married before. So
yeah, that's where I was going. I was like, let's talk about why that was a problem and what you were coming in with, because this was a big part of your belief that was stuck, right? It was about, I'll let you tell the story, but is, about being married multiple times and, what you thought about that and what you thought that meant about the future.
yeah, well, there was a lot of shame in regards to being married multiple times. It was like I was almost labeled as a failure. I did it wrong. There had to be something wrong with me if I couldn't make a marriage work. This is marriage number 4 for me. And I'm so thankful to say it's an amazing marriage. And it probably wouldn't be if it wasn't for this work. But coming in with everything that I developed as defense mechanisms, walls I put up, just my whole way of living that was created from the relationships before, it almost was self-sabotaging and shutting down the relationship I wanted before I even got off the ground.
Yeah. What would that look like? Give me an example.
Oh my goodness. In regards to the intimacy, like I was not open to receive compliments or to be loved on PDA. Like when I met him, I told him hands off in public because I do not like to be touched. And so I wasn't open to receive like just loving affection. I didn't know how to receive it. I didn't like to receive it. It was uncomfortable for me. Um and that was a real cause of frustration for him because it felt like rejection to him.
Mhm.
That's like, I mean, that was one of the biggest things for us was my inability to be affectionate and be touchy-feely, um, and then expressing emotions and being vulnerable. Like, I was the type that I had a particular way I liked everything done, and if it didn't get done, then I had to do it myself, and that was just proving I just kept, like, going in this vicious cycle of, I'm not supported, he doesn't get me, he doesn't care enough about me to, like, do things the way I want them done, like, that kind of thing.
Took it all personal, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I remember the story about the shoes, and
The
even that,
boots,
like that
yes.
was we think it's about us because they don't do what we want them to do, right?
Yeah,
And it's because of our beliefs are like really riding in on that. All right.
yeah.
So my questions are, what was your old belief about relationships, about partnerships, about, in your case, about men?
I kinda just felt like I wasn't cut out to be married, that I was, I guess, too much to handle, and that nobody would like, I wasn't worthy of having a good relationship. I was gonna have to just suck it up and deal with what I got because obviously I've screwed up so many times that I'm just not worthy of the good stuff.
Mm, mhm. And surely it's all about me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does that look like whenever you're speaking about I'm too much? Like, could you give me an example of I'm too much? Because there are so many people or who are in this too muchness.
Oh, yeah, well, I have several, like, just the having an orderly house, that was a big thing, so I was always on top of everything, and so that resulted in arguments of, like, other people feeling like they're not enough, so that made me too much. If what I'm doing to, like, stay ahead and caught up and make sure things look perfect is making them feel less than, then that means I'm too
Mm,
much to handle. I had my own opinion, like, I didn't just, like when people disagreed with me, I didn't just back down just because they told me I needed to think differently. I wanted evidence. I wanted to be like, I had to be shown. Just don't tell me do it this way without showing me why or how or why it's a better way. And so that was hard for people to handle that. Um, I didn't just roll over. And that came from like being the doormat for so many years. I
mhm,
finally, after many years of bad relationships, found the courage to stick up for myself and be super independent, and that was it's hard to be super independent and cohabitate well with somebody, like, if you don't need them, then it kinda makes them feel
so good.
unwanted.
So good, because this is that it leads back to all of those old systems and paradigms and what it's supposed to be like and what
Right.
relationships and marriages are supposed to be like. So while we're running this on this path, like this is really what I want to get to with you is tell us what it looks like when you decide to change and your environment
Oh my
is not
gosh.
used to this new person, because this is what stops so many of us from going all the way, because when we re-identify ourselves, things fall away, others come on board, things change, and it feels like ass.
It does. It feels like being excommunicated from your own life because you start to change, you see things differently, and you just don't mesh with the same people that you used to. And when you start changing and you're already married, you can't you don't just jump off that train because you think differently than your spouse now. It's like you have to learn to be patient all over again because they're having to get used to a completely new person. And they're still used to the old person. So me saying, I wish you would have done it this way. The old me who was like, man, you never do it right. Like, it's supposed to be done this way. Why aren't you doing it this way? And then saying, I wish you would have done it this way, babe. They in their head, they're still like hearing the fussing, the demeaning bully.
It's the craziest thing. I'm there with you. I have that experience also. My husband keeps like judging me or talking about like what I did 10 years ago. And I'm like, I'm not even the same person. It's almost funny now, but I was like, yeah, you're right. I did do that. I was crazy. I did throw shit around the house. I did like a lot of things that I would like that I was ashamed of. Now I
Yeah.
just realize it's just the human experience. It's the
Yeah.
things we do when we're growing, really having to find that grace. But I want to like really bring it in on you because it's been an eventful year. And
Oh my
we're
gosh.
talking about, just the change in marriage, having two mixed families, it's all
Yeah.
blended. And then coming from this past and trying to leave the past behind, and you come forward as the new identity. And
Right.
as you've done that so beautifully, such an amazing example of this whole community can aspire to the help that you've even helped them in their relationships, and I've seen you change and grow in this time together. But I also see the fight that's what's happening like on social media. You've been bullied. They've put your picture, they've put your past, they've put your like everything that you've done
Oh my
before
gosh. Yeah.
thrown in your face, which is this is emotional manipulation, guys. This is bullying at its best. That we have a thought in our head that says, I better shut up, be quiet. I'm too much. I need to go hide. I need to not put myself out there because this will happen. Let's just talk about what that experience feels like for you being new here, having your past constantly brought up and thrown, and then you're this new identity.
Yeah, it's so wild to like for once be in a happy, healthy relationship. And then here I have to like I get screenshots of my mugshot on Facebook from a DWI I got way back when. And it's like, oh my gosh, like that was me. Like, oh my gosh, but that's not me anymore. So it was almost comical to me to like see that. But at the same time, it kind of part of me, it did bring up a little bit of shame because obviously somebody thought enough about my past to continue to link those behaviors to me today as if I am still that person. And I know I struggled with that for a long time, uh, with substance, alcohol, abuse, codependency, all the things in my past that I really, really struggled with and struggled to get out of and bring myself out of. That was a hard, hard fight by myself because people don't just believe that you want to change. It
Right.
takes a lot of time and a lot of years and a lot of work. One, just to make the change, but then for people to view you as that new person. Like
Mhm.
there are so many people that still look at me today as if I'm still that like 25-year-old that was doing all the wrong things.
It's
And
like
that's
once an
so
addict, always an addict, right? Oh, the apple doesn't fall too far. That's their past. That's what they've always done. Like this is crap we hear, right?
yeah, but when it gets thrown in your face, it's like it's almost you get to the point of like, why do I try so hard to be this new person if they don't see me any differently? If everybody still thinks I'm the same old person, what's the point? And it's like an uphill battle when you're trying to be a new person because nobody believes you. Nobody believes that you can change. Nobody believes that you have changed. And you can go months and years with this new behavior and slip up one time and oh, there she is, you
Mhm,
know, same
mhm,
old Linda. But
mhm.
it's not. We're human. We make mistakes. We react in emotion. We make bad choices. It's just human nature. But it's not something that we should carry with us for the rest of our life just because we made a mistake in the past.
So what would you say to the person who's sitting at home right now who has changed, who has done new things, and then there's their family, their environment, their partner, their whatever that continues to bring up their old? And like, what would you tell them? Like, what got you to keep going, to stay in the game?
I
Right? Because
guess
you could have turned your head. You could have moved back to Texas
oh,
and went get some peels and wine and Went right back where you were because that's what your brain was used to,
Oh, let me tell you, like, how much easier it would have been to tuck tail and run, than to, like, stand firm. But I guess the biggest thing to be able to make it through this is to truly know who you are. Be solid in the truth of who you are. Because if you've overcome addiction, you've changed your ways, you've overcome alcoholism, you've overcome whatever the issue is that you've overcome, and you're creating a new you, be solid in the truth of who that new you is. Because if you know who it is, then it doesn't matter who the others are trying to say you are or what they think you are. Because it'd be like somebody walking up to me and saying, "Oh, I love your purple hair." Like, I can laugh and be like, "Thanks." I know I don't have purple hair. My hair is black, but it's no different. Like, I know this is the fact, and what they're saying is not fact.
Hmm. That's, you guys, what we talk about when we talk about embodiment, spiritual embodiments, sacred soul essence, like all of this stuff. It's that. If you wouldn't have had that solid belief within yourself, if it wouldn't have been like embodied as this new confident person, because you had that to anchor to, what did that feel like when you were in it? Because I know you still felt the pull. I watched you. I felt you pull away. I felt you come back.
It was, it was hard. It was almost like when you're sitting in a float in the ocean and the waves are bringing you back and forth, but slowly you get pulled further and further and further out. So that's kind of how my journey with like believing was. My belief was myself in that float. And the stronger I got in my belief was me being pulled out and away from that old belief. The shore was my old belief, so kept going back. But slowly over time, that belief got stronger and stronger and stronger until I could no longer even see that old belief.
Oh, that's so good. So good. It's like, it's this, it's the practice, right? Like we always
Yeah.
say, like transformation is a practice, change is a practice, believing is a practice.
Yes, it
And if,
is.
guys, if you have changed your thoughts without changing your beliefs, then you're missing out on that anchor that she's talking about. And that's really what we do in Self-Healing Masters. It's that container where we just over and over and over and over keep bringing you back to that. So you are now treated as that in your new environment. You get to express as that new nature of being, which is actually your real nature without the drama, the drugs, the bad relationships, all of that stuff, right? What did that look like when you were in the midst of it, not even aware that it was a problem? What lit you up or gave you the indication that it couldn't be different? What was that rock bottom moment of, I've got to get out of here? Like what was that pivotal? This is it.
I think for me, like my changing point, my journey of change started well before I got introduced to coaching. And it was like whenever I got introduced to the coaching that in this work, that's when it like just kick started like a whole new level of it. But I realized, and this was back in a previous marriage, like there was a point in time because I chose not to disassociate myself from my husband at that time. I got my kids removed because he had a court order against him of no contact. And I violated that because I was so codependent. I was not able to even follow a legal rule. So when my kids, now it was for a very short period of time, because of course the court systems had me go through outpatient rehab and a codependency program and all kind of other things. But that was when I realized, like, holy crap, there are some serious consequences to not having my crap together.
Nice. So the interruption, the court forced interruption stopped you long enough to see, right? That inconvenience.
Right. It was
Yeah.
being held accountable for my actions. It really, really
Yeah,
sucked.
sometimes it's forced.
It wasn't what I wanted to do at all, but I remember it clear as day. I was in that courtroom with the CPS caseworker I had, and that judge looked me straight in the eye. You can either divorce your husband and get the help you need so that you can raise these kids, or these kids can go to somebody else. And that was like, nope. I got just reliving that in my head, like I got chills all over again. Like
Love that. Love those moments. Mine was sitting in the welfare office, 19 years old with a baby his dad didn't claim him. And like, this is not where I'm ever coming back again, ever. I don't care what I have to do to feed us. I'm never sitting here again. And it wasn't that I was looking down on who was there. It was how I felt, not being able to care for myself and my child. Like I was like, this can't be, like I'm going to have to come and beg people for money to help me pay my bill. Like, so I love those moments. And having gratitude for it rather than shame. How many of you can say that? Like, yeah, I went to the welfare office. Yep. I went to rehab, went to jail, lost my kids. Yep. Came out. Like that's the hero's journey.
It's like those pivotal moments. Like if those things didn't happen, who knows where I'd be right now, you know? And the crazy thing is like in those moments, I had an amazing CPS caseworker. Like and we're still connected today, and she was the one like that had to do all the work and do all the judging and do the home visits and all that. But she was just like, she saw something in me that I didn't see in me. That judge saw something in me that I didn't see in me. I didn't know what was going on was not okay.
Yeah.
I was just so used to it because my stuff came like I started unhealthy relationships from the age of like 14 years old when I dated like a 20-year-old that was abusive. So like I was conditioned from 14 years old that this is what relationships are like.
Mhm.
I had no clue. Like this was so bad. I need to leave the marriage because that's all I knew. Like most of my relationships have been unhealthy.
Yeah.
Actually, all of them were unhealthy up until the point of once I got true healing and was able to create a healthy relationship.
Yeah, I was going to say, because by the time I met you, you had already like cleaned it up there and you came here and you met your new husband. And so I met you at that point.
Right.
And I remember you came in, we sat down, we talked for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours about you
Yeah.
coming to be a massage therapist here. And that's like, there was something that ticked, but you ended up calling or texting like not long after about coaching. So what happened? You were in this new marriage, you thought things were going great, you got this job, and you were like, I got to figure this out now. Something, because you felt it going down that spiral like the other ones, right?
Yeah.
Something had happened. Because I remember you saying, I talked to Kevin and I need to do this. This is something I need to do to help myself heal. You had been watching the work I was doing.
I was watching the work you were doing, but I think what happened was like I just kept having all these emotions. And like before I met Kevin, I had completely stopped drinking and like it was around April and all these emotions kept and I didn't know why. I was just so incredibly sad, so incredibly angry. Everything that he did upset me. Didn't really want to have much to do with the kids. And we sat down one day, or we happened to be in conversation, and I just brought it up like I just don't know what's going on. And you said, "Well, did something happen like around this time of the year like in the past?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, my daughter's father committed suicide in April." And that's what really set it in stone for me that stuff I go through in the past still affects me. Like it still has like a super strong pull on me. I've got, I've worked through that now, but like at that time, I had no clue that that experience could like completely affect a new relationship.
You recognize the mind body connection,
Yes.
that these samskaras, these memories of the past traumas, actually lie dormant in the body until
Yes.
we can handle them. Then they're
Right.
triggered to come
Yeah.
up for the healing. We don't go, listen, guys, we don't go digging up bones. We don't go we don't go back in the past. We don't live there. The past does not control us. It cannot control us. The only way is if we have thoughts about it and we bring it into our current lifestyle, but I mean, to our current life. But what you're saying right now is you had the recognition that these emotions did not make sense to your mind. I like
Right.
this. I'm safe. He loves me. He's
Yeah.
hot. I love him. We've got, we have God in our life. I mean, it's like we have this church family,
Right.
and
Like
you felt something slipping away
on the
because
outside, it's like, I should be happy. What is wrong with me?
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. I should be happy. And this is dissonance. Logically, I have everything I want. what the heck is this? But that's an
Yeah.
opportune time for this healing opportunity to come up, is when you are in a safe environment. It's
Yep.
not going to come up when you're not safe. That's why you didn't recognize it when you were in the drugs and the all the stuff.
Yeah.
You weren't in a safe environment. I mean, our bodies are so intelligent. Our souls are so intelligent. And so it's like that opportune space of being safe, starting to understand, dropping the resistance, quit that fighting, and then here it comes. Then we close our eyes and scream, but
Yep. Yeah,
all right. What
going through
was
all that, it's like going through this marriage, and I'm not saying that anything it may have not played out any differently in previous relationships, but I know that without the work that we're doing, I wouldn't still be married. I wouldn't probably wouldn't have even ended up getting married to my husband, if I didn't have this work behind me. But I can see how vital this work is because there are situations that we have gone through as husband and wife that definitely could have resulted in us splitting up, but it didn't because of this work, because of the ability to manage my emotions, not take things personally, be able to openly and honestly communicate. I've never been able to do that for fear of like, I can't voice my opinion because it might hurt his feelings. I can't say what I feel or what I need because he might not agree. It might upset him. Those are the things that I had to get over so that I could have a healthy relationship. And this work is what allowed me to do that.
hmm. What was that transition phase like when going from the old to the new? In other words, the in between. You started the work, he's in agreement, he's ready for you to come do the work. Right. And here you are now. But there was some testy times, right? Because, and this happens for all of us, and that's why I want to mention it. When we
Oh my
start
gosh.
changing, their insecurities start coming up.
It was hard. It was really hard because typically it's like before fight, argue, make up, sweep it under the rug. Now it's like have a conversation, find a resolution, figure out where stuff's coming from. Um and not shut down and agree just to diffuse an argument or just to diffuse an uncomfortable conversation. I can't tell you how many times in the past I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're right, and be done with it. So we didn't have to have the discussion anymore. And now I was able to like stand in what I wanted, stand in what I believed. And that was hard for a while because it would upset him. He took it personally. I used to take things personally too, but like whenever I was like, no, I need this or no, I want this, like when you do this, it really makes me feel this way, whatever. He took it so personally. And it was just me trying to communicate my needs, communicate my wants, communicate my feelings. But everything was so, there was that struggle of do I keep voicing it? Do I keep saying it? Do I keep speaking up for myself? Because it's hurting his feelings. Realizing, he gets to feel and think about what I say however he chooses to.
Right. But you had to heal the belief of I'm
Yeah.
too much, because
Yeah.
that's what was stopping. Like every time you go to do the thing and that old belief would come up,
Yeah.
I'm too much. Then we quiet back down and we don't say it and we don't want to rock the boat, because what happens in human relationships? Emotional manipulation. They don't
Yeah.
like what we do. They don't like what they say. They punish us. They don't talk to us. They don't what right. And I'm not talking about your husband or you or me. I'm talking about all of us. That is what we do. I call it emotional manipulation, because we are trying to manipulate people by tugging on their emotions, by throwing them into isolation, right? So
It's so
hard.
funny.
It's all of us.
One of like the funniest things that we experienced as a couple was like when I was saying like I really want it done this way. This is what makes me feel good and makes me feel loved. And he's like, no, I really need it this way because this is what makes me. He's like, well, what do we do? I'm like, well, you do it your way and I do it my way and we just get to deal with it. And he was like, how does that work?
Crazy, right? Because what's the old belief? We got to do it the same. We got to eat the same
Yeah.
foods. We got to like the same things. Our husband's supposed to be our soulmate and our best friend. We're supposed to do everything together. Guys,
Yeah.
that's a trap. So, I've got
Oh,
lots of groups of
definitely.
people, because there's no way my husband can meet all of my needs. No way. And that's putting a lot of pressure on other people, expecting them to make you happy or make you safe or make you feel good. You got to do your own work.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that was something that there was always the need to have a partner and satisfy them and make sure they were happy, because I felt like I had to have that. Like they were like that missing puzzle piece, you know? But it's like when you heal yourself and you can, and you are the whole puzzle by yourself, then you're not dependent on them, their words, their actions to be happy. Like my husband can be mad at me and I can still be okay and I can still love him. And at the end of the night, we can still crawl in bed together and love on each other, even though we had a disagreement earlier in the day.
So good. And it wasn't always that way. So
No, far from it.
yeah. So I have a few questions. So I'm kind of trying to stick on topic here. What was the hardest part of the experience altogether? Like changing your belief. What was the hardest part about changing the belief? Because we think it's our truth, right? We think it's real. We thought that's what the church said. That's what my parents said.
I
That's
guess the hardest part of changing the belief was um committing to the change. Like it was sometimes it was easier to just go back to the old belief. And even it's uncomfortable both ways, changing the belief and having the struggles of what you have to fight through to get to the new belief, and being uncomfortable in that old belief. But sometimes the uncomfortability of the change is so much harder that you just want to dive back into the old belief. So getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and realizing that no matter which way I go, I'm going to be uncomfortable. So it's better to just stick with the change. That's probably the hardest part.
yeah. And holding on to that on repeat and repeat and
Yes.
repeat. Yeah.
And get asking for the coaching and asking for the help. That's the hard part. Even the little things, it's worth reaching out to somebody because those little things can kind of snowball pretty quickly.
Yeah, because that's a big thing, especially with you coaches. It's like you think that you can't ask for help because you're supposed to have it all together. Oh, I'm a coach. I'm supposed to have it all together. I shouldn't
Right.
be. I don't want people to see that I don't have it all figured out. That is a trap, guys. That is shame. You are a human. And as long as you're alive and you have a brain, you are conditioned. And this is the human condition. We always think it's personal. We think it's about us. We think we're at fault. We think we're broken. We think we need to be healed. That's all of us. It's a lack of worthiness.
Yeah, for sure.
What would you tell others that are now where you were to encourage or inspire them, whether it's to take the first step or to continue walking the steps? Because both of those are hard.
I guess don't let the shame of where you are and where you've been keep you from trying to become something different. That's like the biggest thing. Being different requires commitment, and knowing that things might get brought up, don't let that send you hiding in the closet. Like, just let go of all that. Let go of everything that you thought makes you unworthy, makes you not good enough, because through the work, you're going to realize that you're worth everything you desire in life. You're worth the amazing relationship. You're worth the amazing job. You know, you're worth the joy and happy. You are an amazing parent. But until you let go of the what if somebody brings up my past? What if they don't see me for who I want to be? What if people don't recognize? Like, just let go of the what if and just trust that the process is going to bring you the ability to create everything you desire in your life.
That is so good because if I wouldn't have watched the whole entire time, and kind of I watched the layers of this and I know it wasn't easy, and for that person who their parent doesn't agree or the ex is coming at them or like all of these things that you just said it, you said you were so afraid to be seen and to come out and to be clean and to
Yeah.
share that because it meant all of the things that you have done, they will come to get you. That
Yeah.
was, remember, I remember we did the work. Like this is not just, we did some actual processing, let it come up in the body, kind of let it neutralize and then make a rational decision, right? Because
Right.
how would you know that they're sitting there thinking that, oh yeah, Lynda, it's easy for you because dot, 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 right? That's what they're thinking. And this is what you thought also. So
Oh,
If we were talking to that, how did you stay in the game after being cyberbullied, after things being thrown in your face, after the calls and the text? And how did you stay?
Because I had a community of coaches. I had support. I had a coach for myself. You are in the moment and then think you got a hold of it. But when the emotions come over you, sometimes you can't like push that pause button because the emotions and the thoughts are spinning too fast for you to even get a hold of yourself. So having the ability to have a community like Self-Healing Masters or be able to connect into more than mindset or having a personal coach like yourself, Kim, and getting coaching on things, even if it's like the 20th time you reach out for the exact same thing, being able to reach out and somebody else, it's always so much more powerful when somebody else shows you what you're thinking and the facts about what you're thinking and the emotions. So just, I wouldn't have made it through this. I probably would have thrown my hands up and given up if it was not for this work and this coaching community and having a coach for myself.
I'm wondering what difference it makes when you have a consistent coach for a long period of time compared to just hopping coaches. Because that's kind of what the brain wants to do, right? This shit ain't working. I'm going to go someone else, someone else, someone else. Like, or this modality, even in our business, we're like, oh, this is not good enough. We need
Oh,
to try
yeah,
this.
and let me tell you, like, there's
Um,
times where, like, you as a coach, like, you tell me things, it's like when you're not ready to believe it, it's like, "Ugh, she don't know what she's talking about," you know? But you do, but it's like when you're not ready, it's like you want to make it out as though, this isn't working for me, but it's really that's, like, the stuff that's coming up for you to work through, is, like, trusting
yeah.
trusting that
As you're
this
saying it, that's what I'm thinking about. If you wouldn't have stayed, you would have gone somewhere else and you would have tried to sell your bullshit there and they possibly would have bought it. And I think it's what holds people back when they hop and skip and jump because it's
right,
uncomfortable or because she doesn't understand me. She's not listening to me.
exactly.
She's not hearing. We hear you. We just know that it's your brain feeding you some BS and we're talking to the higher part of yourself.
Yes, let me convince you of why my situation is, like, so unique, and it really is that bad. That's what it always felt like. No, I'm really different. It really is different. There's
Yeah,
no
you're
way to
really
coach this.
good at dropping all the evidence, and your evidence is very valid. And it's like, yep, and you're not that person anymore, and we're not going there, and this is what you're creating, and it's going to feel
Yeah,
like ass, and we're going to keep doing it anyway.
but if I had to jump coaches, I would have to start back over from the beginning every single time, and I'm just not I would never have made the progress I made because, 1, I would have to start from the beginning, retell my story, go through the baby steps. And then, yeah, possibly they would buy into my story. Maybe I could convince them that I am unique and my situation is special. And I really do have it worse than everybody else, you know?
Yeah. All right, we are out of time, or we're coming to the end of time. So, when looking back, what's one thing your now self would tell your past self in the worst of the worst of the worst when you were? What would you tell her for her to hang tight and to keep going and keep trusting? What would you?
I would just say she's worth it. The person you're going to become, she's
Ugh,
worth everything.
how do you feel about that person being the person you always were, but you had some stories about your experience and your past that were making it out to believe you were someone else?
Right.
You're the same Lynda. You're just
Right.
a cleaner version. You're more stable, mentally regulated, emotionally regulated, well managed, put together. And because of those tools, you're able to stay in the game long enough to get the fruit.
Yeah.
That's manifestation. That's materialization. And I think it's important that we speak it because I think when someone starts this work, they think it's supposed to happen faster than it does.
There's no timeline. It's different for everybody. Some you come into this work at different levels. I mean, I saw people come through here that came in well after me that just zoomed right past me in their healing, and it was like, "Wow, holy cow." But they were ready and they were open to receiving the work, to receiving the healing, and I was still struggling with kind of digging my heels in and trying to hang on
Believing,
to my old beliefs.
yeah,
Yeah.
believing your story that you were different, your life was worse. And then for those of you who love human design, Linda's also a 6'2". I'm a 6'2", and we just have some tough stuff. We have a lot of experience in order to become the role models. And she's in the earlier phases of it. I'm off the roof, if that makes sense. Um, I know we're talking something different, but come to the More Than Mindset group or come to Self-Healing Masters, because that's where we actually really bring this part of you on board. What would you say is the difference of that? Because you've been in Self-Healing Masters now, and how would you describe the, like, what's happening there, or what it feels like, or what's the, because it's a lifetime container for you, you're a founding member, and so you know that there's no pressure or stress to have to go anywhere else. This is the place where you can continue getting coaching.
That's the awesome point of this the self-healing master is, one, it's such a safe space. Like, I don't feel worried or, like, concerned about sharing or getting coaching on anything in that group. I know it's a trusted space, a safe space, and that there's not gonna be judgment in there.
That's one of our rules, guys. No judgment and comparison. It's in the punchline approach. It's the only reason you suffer.
The other thing is that because I know that I'm not on a time frame, like, I can get the coaching when I need and not feel like I have to rush everything or feel like, "Oh, man, well, they requested coaching and their issue seems bigger than mine, so let me just, like, let them, go first," and feel the struggle with, "Ugh, I'm not gonna get what I need out of this because I only have so many months." It's,
Oh, that's,
it's lifetime. So you're not tied down to a set number of months. You have a lifetime of healing here.
and the coaching is so different, right? Because you've been through the integrative coach program, and that's pretty hard. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't buy any BS in that group, because we got to get you out there trained and ready to go and help other people. But in Self Healing Masters, it's a more relaxed, it's
It
more
is. It feels,
passionate.
yeah, that's the word I was gonna use. It's a very compassionate space to be in. It's, not so hardcore, like, coaching the brain so much as it is, like, helping, like, coaxing you into understanding versus, like, bullying you into not
It's
bullying,
not
but
bullying. I know it feels like it. You guys
yeah,
get mad
it
at.
feels like it sometimes when you're on the receiving end of coaching, some tough coaching.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and end this. I will link the information if you want to contact Lynda for some coaching, or just talk to her about relationship. And then I'm going to end the recording, and I'm going to allow those who are here, if you want to ask questions, you want to come on and talk with us, or just tell us how it was, what you got from it. If you want to hear more about it, you guys can find us in More Than Mindset is a free Facebook group, and Self-Healing Masters is a paid container where you actually come in and do the self-healing. We don't do it for you guys. We teach you how to do it. We help you. We teach you the tools, and then we help you implement them so that you can become the person that you already are. So Lynda, thank you for coming today. Is there anything I did not ask you that you want to share for that one person who's sitting there, who's
Um, you're not alone. Even your dirtiest, darkest time, secret, whatever it was, like, you're not alone. Other people have experienced it too. So it's still not enough to make you unworthy of healing yourself, seeking out the help you need to heal.
yeah. And what's one thing, one feeling, one emotion you can share? How do you feel being on the other side of this newfound belief, or this new way of being? How do you feel if you just summed it up in one word?
Liberated, really.
Mhm. Freedom is so good.
Yes.
All right, guys, I'm going to turn this off.